This is the third lecture in the Protein Structures and Analysis mini lecture. This mini lesson is going to be over proteins in biology. So, proteins are critical to life and perform many functions, including support, regulation, metabolism, production, and communication. So, for example, they make up the cellular cytoskeleton. They also regulation we can see with transcription factors that we talked about in the first lesson. Metabolism, we can see enzymes and hormones. So we have digestive enzymes that break down our food, hormones that uh, control growth and sugar intake. We can see protection with our antibodies and in our immune system. And then communication would be like signaling, transduction proteins, so making messages between and within cells for production of different things or just general needing to live. We can also see them control our nervous system as well as digestion, 90% of our body. So, protein solubility is the ability of proteins to dissolve in water, and this is a vital function that proteins have. So, we have two major groups of proteins. We have fibrous proteins and we have globular proteins. And fibrous proteins are all insoluble, so they are unable to dissolve in water and are shaped like a fiber. And then globular proteins are typically soluble and are roughly spherical. And we'll talk about each one of them here in a second. So fibrous proteins usually form structures in cells, like the cytoskeleton, and within organisms. So we can see this in fibrous collagen, keratin, and so on. They are proteins that are visible in tissue because they are insoluble, so they will not dissolve in water. So things like keratin, which is your hair and your fingernails, myosin, which controls muscle movement, and collagen, which comprises your nose and your ears. So myosin and actin are the major proteins in muscle, and they make up the thick and thin filaments. And these slide past each other to cause contractions and move your muscles. So without these fibrous proteins, we would not be able to move, and we would just be a gelatinous blob. Globular proteins perform most of the signaling functions and are mediate most of chemical changes within cells and organisms. So these are going to be our antibodies, our transcription factors, um, our signaling transduction proteins, so making hormones, and some can be hormones, and then enzymes. So those digestive enzymes, transduction proteins are going to be things that just send messages from one to another or open things like our nerve cells so um, calcium can move through. Oops, went one too far. And then finally, enzymes help direct chemical reactions by making them occur faster than they would normally. So it would take a long time for two molecules to come together. An enzyme can come in and force them together. They can alter chemicals in and around cells. So they are biological catalysts, which means they change the rate of reaction without being consumed by the reaction. So they can take two things and break them apart or add them together and then go and do it again. They change the rate of reaction by decreasing the activation energy needed to start the reaction. So if it requires 100 joules of energy, an enzyme can come in and cut that in half most of the time to make only require 50 joules of energy. All right, thank you for listening to Mini Topic 3. We'll see you next time.